Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Niall, and I appreciate you for stopping by checking out this YouTube tutorial. This is going to be the very first one of hopefully many. Shout out to my boy AJ. He's the one that's been pushing me to kind of start this, and it's my day off today, so I thought I would kill some time and hop into it. Today, we're going to take a look at my kick chain. So this is kind of like a go-to chain of mine that I use on my kick drums for pretty much all of my recordings, all of my drum covers. And as an example, we're going to dive into a drum cover that I recently posted, which I will link down in the description, and I think above me as well. I'll figure it out. But yeah, if you want to check out that drum cover, go ahead, click the link, check that out. Let me know what you think over there. For this video, we're going to specifically dive into the kick chain and what I used, why I used it, the plugins, the routings, things like that. And in further videos, we'll go into other chains as well, my snare drum chains, kind of like my toms processing, just how I'm mixing my drums, my room mics, and also effects, so verbs and bus compression, and ultimately master bus processing as well. Give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel for that future content coming up, and if you want to check out all my previous covers, just go ahead, subscribe, check out all of them, leave me a like in those videos. It'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, comment down below what do you want to see next. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, hopping into it. I wanted to give you a quick listen to what the kick, my two kicks, because I'm using a kick and a kick out, or a sub kick, depending how you utilize it or the term. But I'll give you a quick listen with no processing. So if you check my mixer, I have no processing on the channels or on the bus itself, and I'm not sending anything out as well. On aux, so there's no effects, no bus compression, no nothing. So this is raw kick drums. So let's give it a quick listen. So I want to reduce the bleed, but also when I reduce the bleed, it gives me a great starting place to then, boost and EQ accordingly. So that's kind of what I was doing here. With the two mics itself, I just started with standard EQ. Like I said, for the kick out, I'm pretty much taking out all of the articulation, and let's take that out. I'm pretty much cutting all of the articulation out of the drum, and I'm only boosting anything below 100 hertz. So that's all that sub frequency, because I want to try to get that oomph, that beef out of the drum. And then in the kick in mic is like your standard kick drum EQ. So, rolling off 30 hertz and then cutting a lot of the mids, low mids, which is like that boxy sound. I want to get rid of that mid flat sound. Don't like that. Boosting the top end a little bit to give me some click on the kick, just so I can have some articulation. And then, like I said, I'm not boosting much of the low end because I'm doing it with the sub kick, and that gives me enough flexibility to mix the levels accordingly to try to balance out the sounding kick drum that I want. And the first thing I'm doing on my chain, so if you see how I have it stacked, so I have my two kicks stacked to a track stack or a bus send, how you want it, however you want to view it or take it. But I'm basically processing both of these channels at the same time. So it saves me CPU power for sure, without having to process all the tracks individually. So it definitely helps out. And so the first thing I'm doing is I'm adding a transient designer. The one I'm using is called Smack Attack by Waves. Love this plugin. And basically what I'm doing is I'm fine-tuning how much of that top end I want to add back into the kick, but then also the sustain allows me to, this kind of acts like an expander. So I'm setting a threshold of how much of that bleed I'm wanting to cut through the drum. Obviously, I don't want to cut out all of it because then the drum will be dead itself. There's no resonance from the low end. But at the same time, if I raise it, like just listen to this. Listen to this. Watch me adjust the sustain knob and listen for the difference in the kick. Notice how like a lot of that nastiness just comes out. There's some oomph behind it, but it's not good oomph. There's a lot of that bleed and just distorted. It's not good sounding. So I try to be careful with how much of that sustain I'm cutting through. Next, I am adding another EQ. And in this case, this is kind of like a template that I use for like all my recordings. So this is pretty much the starting place for all of my drum covers that I do. And then obviously fine tune all of the processing depending on the drum, how I play. Like there's so many different factors that change. I'm kind of EQing for both of the channels now. So I have a little bit more of that top end, then I'm boosting. Same thing with a little of that roll in, and then I'm cutting out a little bit more of the mids. And then I took some of the band's narrow cues and just trying to cut out frequencies or sounds that I wasn't really digging out of the kick, just to clean it up and to make it whole again. Cool. And then after that, I just have a standard compressor, the Wave C1 compressor. Very generic compressor. It's not doing anything fancy, not coloring the sound. It's basically giving me my gain reduction and just taming the peaks of that kick, trying to beef it up a little bit more, but still softening that top end. So it's not piercing, but it's a little bit rounded off at the top. With this, I'm shooting for maybe like 6 to 8 dBs of gain reduction. And then I'm not adding too much back in because I don't want it to, again, overload. I want to make sure that it blends in right. I have a pretty quick attack, 10 milliseconds, and then a release of 150 milliseconds. I want to make sure that it's hitting that top end pretty quickly, but at the same time, it's not killing the overall tone of the drum. So that's why I kind of have a middle to slow release time with 150 milliseconds. This is without bus compression or any effects. So let's listen to the kick with all the channel processing on it. So much beefier, man. And you can tell that bleed is either still some bleed there, but a lot of that unwanted stuff, it's cleaned up so well. It's not cutting through, it's allowing the drum to speak. And overall, the kick drum has a cleaner overall sound. But now with everything else, I'm boosting it to where there's a good presence in the mix. It's not peaking, it's not clipping or anything like that. It's sitting at good levels, kind of right where I want it to kind of balance, give me that low end I need in the overall drum mix and still support everything else. So definitely loving that. That is my kick chain. Short and sweet. Hopefully it's a good starting place. And like I said, for future videos, we'll get into my other processing for my snares, my toms, overheads, rooms, whatever you guys want. I'll try to cover it. But yeah, stay tuned for more. And like I said, shout out to AJ for getting me started on this. I'm excited. It's pushing me to just become a better engineer and make sure that my quality is up to par with just industry and what other people are doing out there. So I'm learning every day, and I'm excited to have you along the journey with me. So I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace.